YouTube, I hope we are all having a fantastic day. Apex Legends Season 9 is finally here and it brought us a brand new weapon, the first of its kind, the Bocek compound bow. There is a lot to this bow and we're going to do a full breakdown of the bow, followed by some of my specific legend recommendations that may benefit the use of this bow, weapon combos, my overall thoughts in the meta. So if you like this type of video and you want some more information, you can head over to my Twitch and we do stream nearly daily over there. Come on over and let's chat, and I'd love to talk about the Bocek and everything else in Season 9 of Apex Legends. Let's jump right into it, and starting off with the fact that the Bocek brings us a brand new type of ammo and two new hop-ups. The ammo, of course, is arrows, which come in a stack of 48. My first recommendation right off the bat is that in the Battle Royale, be sure to carry somewhere between 2 to 3 stacks of arrows, as it is very easy to rip through these shots and the ammo quite quickly. On top of this, the ammo for the bow can be difficult to find, as the bow is the only gun on the ground with this type of ammo, and I definitely found that it is hard to find this bow and ammo a lot of the times. A small tip is that it may not be a bad idea to craft some arrows from time to time if it is needed, and also you can't pick up arrows on the ground that were already shot, and this includes both friendly and enemy arrows, so be sure to keep this in the back of your mind and be on the lookout for these arrows. One of the big reasons why you may be ripping through the ammo quite fast is because of the new hop-up, Deadeye's Tempo. Deadeye's Tempo allows players who are shooting at the proper tempo to fire much faster than normal, and this is a great way to get the drop not only on one enemy, but also a team of enemies. To activate this faster fire rate, one must simply shoot when the icon under the crosshair is blue. When the blue light or the blue dot is active, this means it is the proper moment to shoot. Shooting at this moment will then activate a second and then a third dot when you achieve maximum tempo. The second hop-up that the Bocek can receive is called Shattercaps, and this virtually turns this medium-range bow weapon into a close-range shotgun. This is activated by simply toggling your button or your key for the alternate fire mode, much like you would go from single to a full auto on other weapons. When active, this shoots arrows in a pellet formation that is very similar to the Peacekeeper pellet pattern and does some decent damage at closer ranges. And finally, the last attachment on the Bocek is of course some optics. It can hold any of the 1x, 2x, or 3x optics, and it cannot equip the 2 to 4x optic or any sniper optics. So let us now break down the damage for the bow. The bow is very similar to the 30-30 in the fact that it has variable damage depending on how rapidly you are firing the bow or if you're doing a full draw of the bow. Rapid firing the bow in a standard non-shattercap attachment form will deal a measly 31 headshot, 25 to the body, and 20 damage to the leg. And a full draw of the bow, which is what I recommend you to be doing the most, is going to do 123 damage to the head, 70 damage to the body, and 63 damage to the legs. I absolutely, again, recommend trying to get a full draw of the bow pretty much every time, unless you are in a very close range fight where spamming the bow is going to be much easier and forgiving to do. As for the Shattercaps, this hop-up will shoot 7 pellets and do 11 damage per pellet for a total of 77 damage to the body and a modest 98 damage to the head if all 7 pellets are connecting for 14 damage per pellet. I will say that doing a headshot with the Shattercaps and hitting all the pellets in the head really isn't feasible unless you are right inside the enemy, so this probably won't happen too often. As for the range of the Bocek, it is honestly absolutely phenomenal. You can shoot up to 125 meters with this bow, and it has very little if no drop at all. And the drop for me wasn't even really a problem until I tried shooting the bow at an absurd 400 meters away in the firing range, which really won't ever happen in a real game. And because of this, the bow for me is a deadly alternate to a sniper, and in a lot of ways I think it might be better than now the care package weapon, the triple take. So definitely keep this in mind if you are trying to kit out your class when you are in your games. However, the Shattercaps absolutely has a lot of bullet drop and is pretty much pointless to use as an option if you are outside of the 12 to 15 meter range. A perfect body shot at 10 meters will connect all the pellets, but anything further will result in misses, and I really wouldn't recommend using Shattercaps unless you are really within the close range, say 7 or so meters from your enemies. Another huge aspect of this bow that is almost like a glitch is the fact that the bow has nearly perfect hipfire accuracy when a player is not moving. While this may not be practically viable, it is definitely something to keep in mind, and it could come into play if you are just trying to get a quick tap shot on an enemy that is on the closer side of things. And also, it is worth noting that if you are rapidly shooting this bow and hip firing it, you actually have recoil that brings the bow towards the ground, which no other gun in Apex, I believe, does this. So it's definitely something to keep in mind, and it definitely requires you to kind of think a little bit if you are firing this bow rapidly in hip fire formation. The final thing to really know about the bow before we get into my suggestions is that the bow really does bring a whole new type of playstyle to Apex Legends, and for the first time in Apex, this bow is actually a type of silent or stealth type of play. Shooting the bow at someone from a modest ways away will confuse them, as they will have a tough time gauging where they got shot from till they actually get hit. And because of this, the element of surprise can be a pretty big factor in getting some nice silent damage on enemies that are a bit further away. So who will benefit from the bow the most? What legends are going to take full advantage of this weapon? For starters, Gibraltar is always a solid option for a legend to peek shot with due to his gun shield, and this is still true with the Bocek. Since the bow might be a little less aggressive than some of the other weapons in the game, Rampart of course will be a good option, as her amped wall will buff this damage and can make for some really deadly quick damage if used properly. It is also worth taking a second to mention that since this bow will do somewhere between 105 to 123 damage to the head, depending on the helmet, two players shooting this bow at the same time could absolutely down someone instantly with a single body shot and a headshot on a blue armored enemy. So definitely keep this in mind. It's something that we don't really see too often in Apex, but if you got 2 bullets downing one enemy right away, this is pretty crazy. Finally, the only other legend I really see having a small benefit from using the Bocek would be Loba, as she can get arrows a little bit easier with her black market. So what weapons pair up well with the Bocek? This is a tough question to ask, because the Bocek can absolutely be a good mid-range weapon, push to longer ranges with how accurate it is, and with the shatter caps, it can actually be your close range shotgun type of weapon. For me though, shatter caps is good, but not great, and I think running something like the R99 Vol or even another shotgun would be a good option to pair up with this bow. I don't really think something like the R301 or Flatline really makes any sense to run with this weapon, as that would be 2 mid-range weapons and it just kind of seems unnecessary, and you wouldn't really be kitting out your total class for something that is a little bit more optimal. So that is pretty much all of my recommendations for the Bocek and our full breakdown. As for how the Bocek is going to actually perform in the meta, I think it's absolutely going to be great for casual play. The damage is solid, it's fun to use, it takes a lot of skill to excel with, and because of this, I can see the bow being a near instant pickup for a lot of players over the coming weeks. And if you're wondering what the bow would actually replace, what other type of playstyle or weapons, I for one think it really replaces users that like to use something like the Hemlock G7 or the 3030, or really maybe any of the other sniper rifles. I'm happy that the bow is added, and it's a fresh breath of new weaponry that we haven't had in a while or seen in Apex Legends. We had the 3030, in a lot of ways this gun is actually very similar to the 3030, but it's definitely way better in my opinion. And I'm so happy that we've had this gun. It's been a long time since we had a new weapon that I've actually enjoyed. So what do you think of the Bocek? Drop a comment down below and let me know. Of course, you can hop into the community Discord and chat with myself and the community and talk about the Bocek and everything else in Apex Legends. If this video was helpful, be sure to hit that like button, and as always, till next time, I will see you live in the Twitch streams. Peace out.